So this is not a perfect order. I kept this picture here and these notes here because it sums up all the possibilities of natural selection occurring, okay, or evolution through natural selection. Who can tell me, like, what happens to be, for an organism or a population to be naturally selected by its environment? Just, what do you think happens? What could happen?
Camouflage.
Okay, so they have a specific trait, we'll say, that provide an advantage, such as camouflage. What else? Okay, where are we? Yes. So what do you think can lead to needing to camouflage? Predators, good. So the environment contains some kind of like limited resource in a sense. Is really not a predator because we started with that, but you need to try to survive in some way, and something is stopping that, yeah? Now, always remember, and this is kind of like a star, that there's variation amongst all organisms or amongst a group within a population. Look at us. Look at the variety within this group, okay? It might be just something that we're seeing, but internally there's also variety, and that's really necessary. Remember, we talked about diversity being necessary for survival or evolution to take place. And then you're going to have that trait that helps you survive, and the organism with the favorable trait, I wouldn't say wins. I'm going to scratch this off. I'm going to say, what do you think I'm going to replace with it? Survives and good. Survives and reproduces. And instead of organism, let's change it to the population, because obviously evolution always involves, well, not obviously, but evolution involves population. So organisms within the population, we could say. Okay. So these are the three shifts that natural selection is best described in. The dotted line is going to be the original population. And we're going to consider that the original population is a perfect bell-shaped curve. That means you have a little bit of all types of variation. When the shift goes in one direction, and I just gave you the word, where one extreme survives, and so you know it could be this way too. That was terrible drawing, but that is directional selection. So the population shifts in one direction, and I'm going to just jump over here so that you could see. So here's my original population. This is what I meant, like perfect scenario. You've got light colored, medium colored, dark colored. And something happens that the population shifted in one direction, and that's called directional selection. Who could tell me, what do you think happened? Try and explain this population's environment that could have led to this shift.
It may have been in a dark rainforest and the darker colors.
Good. So primarily dark environment leads to the dark being the favorable trait because they can hide from predators. So that's a perfect example. We go back to the next one. I always say, think of this as a U-shaped curve. The word disruptive, right, has the U in it. And look at the new curve. U-shaped curve. Okay? Disruptive selection, what's happening? Both extremes survive. And stabilizing? The average. Okay, and then I'll go to the next slide on the labs. All right, and one to help you. All right, so this is what? What am I showing here? Stabilizing, and then you've got the U-shaped curve, disruptive. And what do you think the environment was like here? For stabilizing?
Too dark, but it wasn't too light.
Medium, right? Yeah, and then over here you've got
The medium was the environment.
nope, here you've got an environment that's both light and dark, but the average color is not, so they are the target, and the same scenario. Now try to think of a scenario that doesn't involve color. Can anybody come up with a description?
I won't be here Monday, but I'll bring it
more evolution or more types of evolution, okay? Natural selection, at the end of the day, watch how every type of evolution I tell you can be associated to some form of natural selection. So what's happening here? You've seen this kind of picture before and I explained it to you. What can you associate it with? That's in this unit. Symbiosis, what kind? Mutualism, where both benefit. What happens here is species co-evolve, so that's a symbiotic, right? We talked about it being a form of evolution. And mutualism and actually predation is considered some form of coevolution as well, because organisms will be dependent on a specific type of prey to survive and reproduce and evolve. So looking at this picture, what can you know this word, convergent. So what do you think is happening? Show me convergent. Coming together. So what do you think is happening?
Two species are combining.
You're going to have two species or two distinctive species with different traits and evolve into one showing those similar physical characteristics. So here you've got a falcon and a pterodactyl, and you're going to put the bat as the convergent evolution. Does that make sense? Or what's happening here? So yeah, you're going two related species evolve from one. So you've got this common ancestor, and then you branch out, and that's more relative, let's say. I mean, you're looking here at a common ancestor that they don't even label, and then you've got the woolly mammoth and the modern elephant. But think about wolves and geographical isolation, and you've got like, right? Does that make sense? No, like separation here. Look at this.
Oh, so
look at this.
Started from one kind of
correct, and evolve into, and this can happen in different parts of the world. That's you're going to see in biomes with the same type of species evolving in the same way in different parts of the world due to some environmental condition, because that's usually what causes it. And these are the graphs that kind of express those types of evolution. And then the third one is parallel evolution. And basically what happens here is they kind of evolve independently of each other, but with similarities. And that's kind of like what I was just talking about. So you've got original parent species, and they evolve into something different, and it's happening with another host group of organisms. So evolution by artificial selection is something that in environmental science you could say we're going to talk about a lot, because it involves not just animals, but what? Plants or food, okay? We artificially select specific types of crops for our benefit, which is leading to what? What does artificial selection lead to? Less what? Biodiversity. Less diversity. So we're going to link that, because we're going to talk about that later. Linked to loss of biodiversity. Because if we are last type of evolution for today, evolution of resistance. What do you think is happening here? If I gave you this picture, can you kind of interpret? I should show you my students' animations of this.
Only the organisms that can survive under like, the conditions of whatever's like happening to them survive. So like pesticides or like bugs.
Awesome. So organisms' ability to tolerate a particular chemical designed to kill, and pest would be the example, being exposed to pesticides. What else? Think of you. What are you exposed to chemicals all the time? Or toxins, hoping to kill? Good. So you're going to say bacteria evolving due to antibiotics. And I'm going to show you a video about that right now.